Okay, I'll call this work session of the Greenville City Council to order. Let the record reflect it's about 4:32, and the first item to be discussed will be the 2024-2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report by Ben Petty and Laura Lynch with Whitney Penn. Ben's our financial director. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It seems like it was just a few short months ago that I came on board. I was just telling the subcommittee here, and part of that intro that during that day was a promise to Summer and the City Council, thank you, that the financial piece of the organization was going to be raised to a higher standard, my standard, and this is what has transpired today, or what you'll see today. Audit that has been presented on time, as opposed to last year where y'all were just getting to the 24 budget in October. So that was a little delayed, but this one has been presented on time. I wanted to, there's Laura. It wouldn't be possible without Laura, who has gone above and beyond what a normal auditor should do. She has been fantastic here, as well as Michelle, who's down here from Juice. She has been fantastic, and her team has been a tremendous help as well. So I'm going to pass it over to Laura, and she'll go through the presentation with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
This is... Oh, there we go. Okay. So I've just got a few slides to go through with you, just the first set of slides we want to go through is just talking about the different responsibilities for the financial statements. Management has a responsibility for internal controls and the preparation of the financial statements. City Council responsible for ensuring that management meets its responsibility for the internal control and financial reporting. And then the Fiscal Affairs and Subcommittee, we just met. We say no? Okay. There we go. Okay. To help in overseeing that management meets their responsibility for internal controls and financial reporting. And then our role as auditors is to accumulate the evidence necessary to support an opinion on the fair presentation of the financial statements. There we go. So our audit process, we come in, we do planning, we look at the preliminary financial statements, meet with management, and meet with different departments to get an understanding of their internal controls, and then we do a test of those internal controls. So we test different transactions. We test your revenue transactions. We test your cash collection procedures. And then we go through after that's completed and we do substantive testing, and that's where we gather external evidence to support the amounts in the financial statements. So confirmations that we do is confirming cash and investment balances. We confirm your debt balances with external sources. We get information directly from the state of Texas related to hotel, motel receipts, sales tax receipts, and we test those, and then we do other substantive procedures such as analytic and detailed test of material transactions in order to arrive at opinion and report issuance. There are three types of opinions that can be issued. One on the far left would be a disclaimer, and that would be if we were unable to gather enough evidence or have an opinion on the state of the financial statements. Qualification in the middle would be a modification due to a scope limitation or some type of departure from GAAP, and then an unmodified or clean opinion. So the opinion on the financial statements is unmodified. That says that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, and that our audit was conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and general and government auditing standards. And in the annual comprehensive financial report, that is on pages 1 and 2. We do have an auditor's report as well on internal control over financial reporting. Our internal control over financial reporting does have material weaknesses that were identified, and this was related to account reconciliations not being performed throughout the year, which led to multiple material corrections to the financial statements in order to provide the unmodified opinion on the financial statements. So while that was the final result, there were corrections to be made throughout the audit in order to get to that point. We noted no instances of non-compliance and no instances of fraud. We just take a look at the statement of net position. Again, this is as of 9/30. Things have changed, since that date, so you've got new numbers up to this point. But at the end of 9/30/25, you had total assets and deferred outflows. So this is all of your assets that belong to the city and all of the debt that the city has. You had total assets and deferred outflows of $722 million, made up of cash and investments of $234.9 million. And you had capital assets net of depreciation of $462 million. You also had your total liabilities and deferred inflows of $524.8 million. Your bonds payable made up $429.3 million of this. And then your net pension liability of $35.1 million and your OPEB liability of $3 million. And I just like to point out on the net pension and OPEB liabilities, these aren't liabilities that the city will have to pay out at any given time. That's paid throughout the year as you make your contribution to the pension plans. And these are estimates based on the actuary's estimate of the amount that will be owed in the future on those for your pension and OPEB. That gives you your net position of $197.5 million. This is an increase of $11.7 million or 6.3% from the prior year of $185.8 million. Take a look at your long-term liabilities from September 2024 compared to 2025. Your total liabilities increased from $400 million to 481. That was due to your revenue bonds, the Texas Water Development Board bonds that were issued during the year, and that the other obligations, your general obligations and COs, all decreased due to principal payments. You had your sales tax obligation remaining of $3.3 million, your finance purchases at 3.1, and then your compensated absences, which is the accrual for your vacation and sick time to be paid out, of 7.3 million, and then your net pension and OPEB liabilities. Taking a look at your fund financials, your governmental funds, you've got your general fund, debt service, your capital projects fund, and your remaining non-major funds. Your general fund had total revenues of 33 million, total expenditures of 40.5 million. So you had a decrease in general fund balance of 6.8. Your debt service had total revenues of 10 million, your total expenditures of 11 million. So your debt service fund also had a decrease in fund balance of 1.9 million. And then your capital projects fund started their revenues with 3.4 million. You had total expenditures of 60.5, all this related to projects in progress, and it sounds like complete, some of them complete during fiscal year 26. So you had a decrease in your capital projects fund balance of 55.9 million. And then your non-major funds, you had revenues of 5.3, expenditures of 3.1, so you had a change in fund balance, an increase of 1.7. So your total fund balances for all of your governmental funds at the end of the year was 42.9 million. Your general fund budget, you had revenues under budget of 1.9, expenditures over budget by 6.3, and so you had your ending fund balance decrease in the general fund of 6.8 million. This taking a look at your general fund unassigned fund balance. As we talked about already, you had the decrease of 6.8 in the general fund, so from 9.1 to 2.2 in fiscal year 25. The remaining slides are just our required communication as part of the audit. So we do look at the city's accounting policies and methods and we determine that they are in accordance with industry standards. There are estimates in the financial statements. Not everything is tied specifically to an invoice. So the largest estimates that we see in the financial statements relate to allowances for doubtful accounts. You have utility bills that you have to have some allowance for those that might not be paid, some related to property taxes. And then the largest estimates, though, relate to net pension and OPEB. We talked about those. They come from the actuaries. We tie those out during the audit. We tie the information that goes into those estimates to your records and ensure that they agree. And we conclude that the management has a reasonable basis for those estimates related to the financial statements. As far as difficulties encountered in performing the audit, we do have a management letter being issued, or the internal control report being issued, that contains material weaknesses, and that the completion was delayed in part related to those. As Ben mentioned, they came in and worked on it very hard. So no difficulties in getting that information from them, just the difficulties encountered in trying to get everything into that, get everything done and in on a timely manner. He was making up for a few months there. And then no uncorrected misstatements. All of them, the audit entries that we proposed have been posted and accepted by management, and no disagreements with management over the application of accounting principles. The last piece of evidence that we'll get is called the management representation letter, and that's a letter that Ben and Summer will sign, accepting responsibility for the financial statements, letting us know they've given us all the information that they had available to them and haven't withheld anything that we needed for the audit. No consultations with other accountants. While that would be fine, we would just want to know what the city's being told, if they had consulted with any other accountants. And no discussion with management prior to retention. We don't feel the need to respond in any certain way in order to continue to be your auditors. We remain independent in that manner as well. And with that, if you have any questions on the presentation, I'd be happy to answer those.
I'd like to ask either Ben or Summer just to briefly explain some of that. As a result, we discussed that in the subcommittee. Timely transfer of accounts is what accounted for reduction in brief discussion of that, so the council will understand what happened. Whoever would like to take that question.
Well,
I'll take an explanation.
I'll take the question since Ben was not here. So he just got here in time to unravel everything. So our finance director left in the May time frame, pretty much a year ago today. And at that time, what we were doing is those capital projects, which included the Emergency Operations Center, which was the big one, the Sports Park Center. We had the raw water line being substantial, toward substantial completion, which would obviously would account for about that 60 million in the expenditures. The radio was included in there. So we had several large projects. And council, so you'll understand what we do when we initially get that project. Obviously, we don't pay all those bills all at one time. So we put them over into an investment account. They earn interest over there. Obviously, we utilize some of that interest for some of the change orders and things like that we've come to you guys for. So what was happening when the finance director left in May was that we were paying all of those projects' expenditures with our pooled cash. So any revenue that we had coming in from that point forward was being paid with cash. After I was the only other person at that time, and then when I figured that out, then we started doing some transfers from those investment accounts to cover those cash expenditures. But obviously some of that happened after the September time period, so it's not reflected in this audit. EOC being one of the larger ones. Philip, you were on that subcommittee where we decided to use the remainder of the COVID money because that 8.5 million project ended up being a $15 million project. So we met with this public safety subcommittee several times to determine we would use that COVID money to cover those expenses. As of today, that COVID money is still sitting in that investment account. It was never transferred to our bank account to cover any cash expenditures. As you guys know, I think you got a invitation that project is pretty complete, and we're just waiting on some punch list items. So that cash was used for that, but obviously when we transfer that, it's not going to reflect during this audit. So I don't want you guys to feel like we don't have any cash or we mismanaged any type of cash. It was just literally at the time when our finance director left in May, we were finishing up a current audit, which I had to end up hiring Michelle, as you guys know, to help me finish that audit. We were in the middle of a budget. We had a cyber incident that happened, so there was just it was just bad timing. And so there was a lot piled on at the time. And so, and it was a lot to unravel as well. I think Ben's figured out that some of that was happening. Some of those bigger transfers were not happening even prior to May, before the previous finance director left. So there was just a lot of unraveling to figure out. Ben has unraveled quite a bit of it. We still, with Laura and Michelle's help, so we're still unraveling a lot of that. So I don't want you to think we don't have that cash sitting there, and we were not over budget, by $6 million. There's no way we could be over budget and still operate by $6 million. So I know that looks a little scary. It makes my stomach drop a little bit myself just to see it on a presentation. But I mean, from a cash standpoint, we're fine. We're in good shape. We're no departments going over budget by any means. From that, we're not hiring any more than we should be hiring or anything like that. So really, it was the capital projects and those investment transfers that were lagging more than anything that affected our cash balance. So I'll be happy to answer any other questions if that didn't explain kind of where we're at with this audit.
Okay, if there are no questions, thank you, Laura, for being here again. Safe travels home.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll go to the next item, which is the plan of finance for juice revenue bonds. Paul? How are you today?
Good evening. I think we're ready here. Did we have it loaded? Just want to provide an update to the council. Which one do I have? Did I screw this up?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle.
No, it's fine. If I'm overstepping, if I may, I just
No.
wanted to say,
Yeah.
this is the second tranche of our new generation project that we sold for in September of '24. So this is kind of a continuation of that, and then some upgrades to existing substations. That's the majority of this money. And then we do plan to have another tranche in 12 to 18 months, just so that you're aware. And with that, I'll hand it over to Paul.
Thank you. Thanks for saving me as I tried to figure this out. We provided an update to the Juice Board in February. The Juice Board approved a parameters ordinance authorizing the issuance of the bonds. Wanted to provide this council an update as well, and in timing. We appreciate all the work. Summer, staff, Ben, Michelle, to get that audit done. That was an instrumental document to stay on track for this second piece for the engine plant. As far as our parameters, we're looking at $95 million. That's what the Juice Board approved. We're actually probably going to be closer to around $79 million as far as a bond issue amount. And then as far as the pricing, we're looking at April 28th. That might slip a day or so. We're also pricing the water sewer transaction that morning, so we might move this one just a day behind that. If that's the case, we'll come back to council to approve a parameters order just like the Juice Board approved, and probably push pricing a day or so, and then come back to the Juice Board and this council with the final pricing results. Important document, of course, is that audit. In order to sell revenue bonds, we have to pass an additional bonds test, basically 125 average annual debt service. We've got the calculation in here later. The first payment on these bonds is going to be February 15th of 27. Michelle is well aware of that, of when that payment's going to be, and of course there's cash flows to support that. As far as the pro forma, a lot of numbers here. I wanted to illustrate this is a zero growth scenario. This shows that we can cover this debt service without any additional revenue enhancements that are part of Juice's long-range financial plan and their rate study. This shows the 125 coverage. So if you move from left to right, we've got the 25 draft audit numbers, taking our expenses, and then we've got our cash flow to support debt. All our existing debt plus this new debt, it'll be level structure. We're estimating a rate around 5.18%. We've got about 25 basis points of cushion in there. Since we presented the Juice Board, a lot has happened since February with the war in Iran that's driven up rates. They've settle down a little bit, but we feel we hopefully can achieve these interest rates. And then again, the coverage here is just to illustrate we can meet our additional bonds test at 125 times. As far as the business plan for Juice, coverage is probably going to be closer to 150 to 160. That's very important to keep the current rating at Juice, so that's what the actual coverage will probably be achieved in the future. And this is just an illustration of the debt that drops off, start dropping off in 2030. This includes this issue, the previous issue, all the existing debt for the engine plant. We will come back, as Michelle said, probably next spring, summer for that last installment to finish out the project, proceeds to finish the plant. Sources and uses, looking at around 78 million right now based on the market conditions with a premium. That means basically investors want a coupon rate higher than the prevailing market yield, so they have to pay the city a premium for that. This does include all the cost of issuance, underwriter's discount, potential bond insurance, and then at closing, roughly 79 million will be deposited into the construction fund for that second phase of the engine plant. Timeline, we're here today again just to provide a information item only to the council, and then if all goes well, we'll price either the 28th or 29th and then close May 28th. That's when proceeds will be available. And then this is just a calculation that shows that we pass our additional bonds test. We are covering based off the 25 audit at 1.39 times. We have to be at 1.25. So no issues there, and happy to answer any questions. So.
Questions for Paul?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we'll go into executive session, and we'll be back here at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you at 6, hopefully. Okay, I'll call this regular session of the Greenville City Council to order. Let the record reflect it's about 6:02. Ask Michael McVeigh, our Community Engagement Director, to please come forward and give the invocation. Please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Our Father, we thank you for this time that you've given us tonight, that we can come together as people of this city, and we thank you for the guidance that you'll give to each of us as we make decisions, as this council guides this city. And we ask that you would continue to bless Greenville, that you would continue to bless our citizens, that you would give us wisdom and show us how to love one another in the way that you have loved us. Bless our proceedings tonight. May we be guided by your hand in all that we do. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Michael. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We have one presentation tonight for Arbor Day. Scott's going to accept it. So, hello. How are y'all? So, I have a proclamation for you regarding Arbor Day. I will, if I can finagle this. I got it. Finally. Okay, thank you. Arbor Day 2026. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees help reduce erosion topsoil, lower heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide a habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in the city of Greenville increase property values, enhance economic vitality of business and public areas, and beautify our community. Whereas the City Council has been recognized as a Tree City USA for more than 30 years by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Now therefore, on behalf of the City of Greenville, we hereby thank Parks and Recreation Board and the Department of Keep Greenville Beautiful participants for their dedication to beautifying our community. We further encourage all citizens and businesses to plant trees and to promote well-being with future generations. So we're presenting this to you tonight. Would you like to say anything?
Come to our Arbor Day celebration, May 1st, 10 a.m. at the GHS Auditorium.
Okay, good. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It's a pleasure. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
It's at the GHS Auditorium at 10 a.m. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
we
there
have
are.
a lot of free trees. If we have any
Yeah.
left over, they'll be at the library.
While we're waiting, where I grew up, there were trees planted during the Great Depression and Dust Bowl for windbreaks. And they still exist today, many of them. So they're probably whatever they are, that many years old. So, thank you very much. Yeah.
20 years old.
I know you've seen it. Okay, before we start, I just want to remind everybody that early voting for our city council amendments and our city council position 4 or 5, place 5, place 4, I'm sorry, early voting starts on April the 20th. I think it runs for 8 days. Is 7 days, is that right? 7 or 8 days, I don't know. But anyway, it starts on April the 20th, and it will be held at the Election Administration Office on Washington Street. So this time, so anyway. And just as a placeholder, you see in your agenda, citizens to be heard in public testimony. Citizens are being invited to address the council on items that are not already scheduled for public hearing or on the agenda. A public testimony occurs where citizens are invited to address the council on topics that are on the agenda, starting tonight with resolutions item A, 8A. There are no public hearings, there are no ordinances tonight, so I'll just ask, are there citizens? Okay, and is there any public testimony before we start that? No citizens, okay. So if you'd like to address the council on any of these resolutions that come up, just raise your hand and let me know. Item 8A, consideration and action on a resolution approving the replacement of the sewer main from Stonewall Street to Beverly Street. Chris.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. No Dig Tech LLC was awarded this Bowie Street Sewer Rehabilitation Program for the amount of $224,946 through the TIPS purchasing program. What happened was the city crews went out and cambered down through Stonewall to Beverly, and that 8-inch sewer main has cracks all in it, and it's starting to collapse in certain areas. And with this, No Dig Tech will go in and pipe burst through there and replace 500 linear feet of pipe, and they will rehab 4 manholes over there. That also the walls are starting to collapse.
Are there any questions from council? I have a question, and I don't have my computer up right now, but in that you say Stonewall running south to Beverly, I didn't understand that because from Beverly is north of Bowie School. I didn't understand that description. Huh?
I don't understand the actual.
Well, yeah, I didn't understand. When I read it, I didn't understand the description of it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have it right on me.
Well, I don't question it. I wondered if it was an error.
It may have been an error, but I can get you the error.
Bowie School.
Yeah.
Bowie School is north of Beverly, or Beverly is north of Bowie School, and it says.
Kind of behind it.
Yeah. Alleyway and behind, yeah.
So
Well, it
it
said
could,
Stonewall, so I assumed it ran up
So is it in
Stonewall.
the
Right, but
right
we-
of way between the Presbyterian church and
Yeah, that's why we can't get in there. There's gonna be pipe burst.
That's why you gotta burst it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so, yeah, our sewer lines don't always run with the roads. I mean, even over off of Edgewood.
Sometimes it cuts
It cuts
behind.
behind residences and things like that, so it's not gonna be exact
So
to
the
the road.
description, okay.
So, but that's the best description that we could give it.
Okay, good.
So,
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So what is the, if there are no questions from the council, what's the pleasure of the council regarding this item 8A?
I make a motion to approve.
Please vote. And it passes unanimously. Item 8B, consideration and action on a resolution approving the replacement of the sewer main service lines and manholes at Park Street between 2nd and 4th Street.
The same way with this, the No Dig Tech was awarded this through the TIPS program. And what's going on there between 2nd and 4th, the exact same thing, the 8-inch main is starting to collapse. And so they're going to replace 1,100 linear feet. And that came in at $300,700, $300,007. I'm all messed up. But anyway, yeah.
I don't know if we need to hear the 7, but.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it. But they're going to also rehab 4 manholes over there. In any parts of the street that they do disturb, they're going to replace.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chris. Are there any questions for council regarding this item?
I have a question for you. This, these are pretty significant projects. Like, is this, are you aware of any other, like, of these types of projects coming up in the city? Is this a relatively, like, single incident, or is this like just our average infrastructure aging across the city?
It's a lot of the infrastructure that's aging, where we get a lot of calls from over and over that, from backups and stuff like that. So we end up sending the crews out the camera to see exactly what's going on.
So that's what led you to these locations,
Yeah.
was the repeated calls and the issues?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any plan to try to lower those pipes at all, or is it just replacing right where they are?
Just replacing right where they are for now, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, what is the pleasure of the council regarding this item? AB.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Vote. And then item 8B passes unanimously. Item 8C, consideration
Thank
and
you.
action on a resolution authorizing, thank you, Chris. Thank you. Consideration and action on a resolution authorizing change order number 19 with AP Gulf States in the amount of $139,494.
Yes, Mayor, Council, so this will be change order 19. The majority of this, $125,000 of this will be IT related. So at Reese, we did owner furnished access points and over there for that and had our group install them. We ended up having to have them install them, reduce some IP addresses. And so what we did was kind of earmark money at that point within the budget. Just if we got to this point and we had the funds, just to go ahead and have the contractor do that while they're there. And it's a lot of access points, about 5 times what was at Reese Davis. So, and then we got some money back, a credit for some millwork, and some carpeting, changing flooring, and then a carbon monoxide detector. So,
Good. Questions? Not, is there a motion? Well, he still is.
you got to knock on something, wood related.
I want to ask him if he's on schedule.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Someone wants me to ask that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can say we are, as of today, we are on schedule for significant completion and turnover CO for June 12th.
Okay.
So-
And you still are under budget, I know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Make that point. Okay, is there a motion regarding this item?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
And item 8C passes unanimously. Item 8D, consideration and action on a resolution authorizing execution of cemetery mowing service agreements. Brett.
Yes, sir. So, Mayor, Council, so our cemeteries, we got Eastmount and Forest Park cemeteries that city maintains. We've contracted that out for at least 13 years that I know of. And so that contract comes up every 2 years, or we do 1 year with the option to move forward for up to 2 years. So this is the 3rd year of this current agreement. So we put it out. We did get 10 bids that came in, kind of all over the place in terms of location, where these companies were based. And so what we did was basically used 3 factors of criteria. We used where their LLC is based or their business. We used what their bids were in terms of the budget, our current budget, and then we used for any existing contractors, they got points based on infractions or if we've had any issues with them. So there was points there or deductions there based on the performance. So we came up with 3. We had 3 groups that came in, kind of ranked up 1. They all ranked number 1 in points, with Simply Grass, Landers Lawn Barbers, and then Earthworks Services LLC. So Earthworks currently is a vendor for Eastmount Cemetery, and we typically want to split these properties because if you're behind in one, typically you're behind in both, right? And so for the taxpayers, for the citizens, we want to make sure that the places look good, and then they're on a 5-day mowing cycle, which is a tough turnaround if you have a couple of days of rain. 5 days you run out of daylight. So what we did was evaluate these groups, and what we found was we couldn't find much on the other 2 in terms of equipment, industrial equipment or crew sizes. They look more residential as opposed to commercial. The group we did have, Earthworks, we did talk to them, reach out to them, and basically get some guarantee that if they run into a bind, they have additional crews available. So they have a highway division as well. So they're going to have 2 crews mowing here in Greenville, and then if they get in a bind, they'll bring in their highway guys to help. So we haven't ever had any issues with them, other than we got some complaints about them spraying with a drone out there at Eastmount. So, which isn't illegal. They were licensed. So, but yeah, so other than that, we haven't had any issues. So that's our recommendation. It keeps us within the budget that we're currently at, and we know the quality will be good. So
did you reach out to any of these other companies?
we reached out to all these companies. Yes, sir.
Did you get a response from the other 2 that were equivalent in ratings?
We did not. I think Landers, we did get a response from, or Simply Grass, we did get a response from Simply Grass. And, again, they use residential equipment. So, again, you're talking about staffing up to 8, having to have 8 to 12 people on staff at all times. So
I understand that,
yes,
but
sir.
these other 2 that equally rated in here are between like $20,000 and $28,000 cheaper.
Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't we go with and save the city some money?
Well, I mean, we've done that in the past, right? We did that last time with Holland. If you'll remember, that was back, I think, 2018, 2019. So we did that with Holland, went away from that, and what we found was that a lot of these contractors, what they do is come in, get the bids, they come in low, and then you've got Bob out there mowing with his push mower and weed eater, and they're subbing it out to local people here local for a certain dollar amount. And it just wasn't feasible. We ended up having to cancel that contract and terminate it, and that was a big outfit and with Holland. So for us, yeah, we could try that, and I think that's that's at the mercy of the council. If you want us to reevaluate it and look at it, we can do that. And if you want to roll the dice with somebody, one of those other 2, we can look at that as well.
I personally do not want to roll the dice. I live right by the cemetery. It's work, and you got to have a decent crew. So, man. High level crew out there take. It's not just like mowing your yard.
No. Well, we also kind of have a formula that we use to try to calculate man hours, and then kind of coming up with what would be a fair dollar amount per man hour out there. And we're sitting between 18 and 21, where some of these were coming in at $14 an hour, $13 an hour. That's probably not just feasible. Maybe up front on the first part, but the first time you've got openings or you've got to pay somebody cash to come in and work for the day laborers, could be problematic. So
My experience living right there next to it, I've seen both sides. Have 1 or 2 guys out there killing themselves, and then I see them come through with 10 guys, all with those still weed nice, and they get it done really good, fast, efficient, and they're able to. It's just where I'd rather be with it.
Sure. Well, and just for reference, Forest Park is 3.5 days with 5 guys. So that's kind of the man hours for that. Eastmount is 4.5 days with 5 guys. So that's 8 days. So you've got to be able, and what Earthworks does that, probably helps them a little bit is they use chemicals to help treat, and we manage that, monitor that, and making sure that they're setting the weeds back a little bit and they're not creating issues around the headstones with runoff and drainage. So
just one more thing
Yes,
to make
sir.
sure I understand. So you're saying Earthworks, you normally split the cemetery contracts
Yes,
and
sir.
have one company for one and one company for the other?
Yes, sir.
So in this case, you're recommending Earthworks for both
Yes, sir.
cemeteries?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a backup in case Earthworks goes under?
Jay-Z Hyde, they currently do our parks and right-of-way contracts, so they currently have our parks and right-of-way contracts. I know they don't ever bid on Eastmount, and their bid came in 18% higher this year on Forest Park, or 17%, excuse me. So I mean, that's always somebody to reach out to, or, that's what we had to do, was pay them kind of emergency mow until we can go back through the bid process.
do you think they come in 70% higher, whatever it was?
I mean,
They know what it takes.
yeah, probably. I mean, and just that things are more expensive right now, like fuel. You know, fuel is expensive. Everything, operations, these mowers are expensive. So, you know, the equipment's expensive, labor is expensive. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, and I did talk to Zach because, you know, he's been doing it for 13 years, Forest Park. So, I did talk to him and he understood. He knew when he put it out there that it was high, but he's like, I have to, you know, this is what I have to make on it. So, I respect that.
I don't have.
Any other questions? But thank you for your work on that.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there a motion regarding this item?
Second.
And it passes 6-1. Item 8E, consideration action on a resolution approving updates to the city's classification and compensation policies. And Uriah, I know you're here and you've done this is a whole lot of work you've done catching us up on this. I'd personally like a little more time to review these documents.
Absolutely.
And I've asked the council to consider that, so we'll, if there's a motion to postpone this, we'll wait until the next meeting to
Yes, sir.
review.
Yes, sir.
I know that it's a lot of work. One of the reasons I'm interested in this, I always say, people are our most important asset. Spend some time reviewing this before we approve it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to postpone to April 28th.
Second.
Please vote. And thank you, council, for allowing that on behalf. Item 8F, consideration action on a resolution approving a standard agreement for use of the farmers market awning, parking lot, and stage. Micah.
Mr. Mayor, City Council. So this came up primarily because of Doty's moving into that location, and they're wanting to do events. And so Madison came to me weeks ago and said they're wanting to do and use the stage and all of this. And I said, well, that's good for the city that we're doing that, but we had no contract, no agreement for the space. Their lease that the Board of Development has covers the building. So the awning, the parking lot, the stage area, that is owned by the city, and we just needed some way to ensure that if the space wanted to be used, it's probably mostly going to be Doty's, but if somebody on the outside wanted to use it for something, an event, concert, whatever, that we had a way to, I guess, control that and make sure that we were covered legally. So this did go to Daniel Ray's office. We didn't get any response on it, so it's a pretty standard boilerplate style agreement that just shows that the parking lot, the awning, the stage, what they can and can't do. Pretty basic. We're working on a fee structure for that. We want to compare to other similar type. It's kind of an odd space, a little harder to compare. So we'll present that later when we look at fees and structures for fees for next fiscal year. So.
How will this affect events that we currently do there? Like, presumably, Farmers Market has a separate lease with each vendor for the stalls,
Right,
I
there's
guess.
already, you're correct. There is an agreement for farmers market vendors now.
Right, and what about, like, we have parades that, like, meet there and sometimes do events there and that kind of thing?
Yeah, this would allow, so, for instance, like GISD did the homecoming parade there last year and used that as a staging area. So this would just be a simple way for us to enter into, again, a very simple contract to say, we can put it on the calendar, we know this is happening, it lets us inform Doty's of what's going on, and it just gives us a little bit more control over the space instead of it being just sort of a free-for-all since it is public. The primary issue, I think, there is not the parking lot so much as it is the stage and the awning.
Right.
Because those are structures, considering also that we're expanding the awning. So we want to make sure that, if somebody wants to use the space, that we have a way to do that legally. There's a contract. There's something for us to fall back
Gotcha.
on. It's not just a word of mouth thing.
Gotcha. And this won't affect like just regular day-to-day use of the public parking lot, right?
No, it should not.
Okay.
Are there any existing agreements other than Farmers Market? Like, I know Crawford Smith uses that pretty substantially.
Yeah. As far as I know, we don't have an agreement we actually discussed that, and I do think that it's something that Summer and I haven't discussed this yet either. I think it would be good for us to have something in writing, and just so that there's clarity on what's happening. As far as I know, there's never been any issue there. If there is, I don't know about it. I don't know that they've ever damaged the property or anything like that. My understanding is that those folks are good local citizens if something happened, but again, that's the whole point of this, is to eliminate the question of, well, you and I had a conversation, and so how's that going to go? We put it on paper and we make it a contract. So I think you're right in the sense that this could potentially cover Crawford Smith's usage of the awning space, but it's something that I'd like to look at. That may require a different approach. That's something that I think Daniel would need to chime in on as an attorney, and how, what that would look like. But I think you have a very valid point there.
Is that something that needs to be addressed before we move forward with this, or are we going to try to sign this and limit them and force them to do more moving forward? Or do we talk about this more?
I don't think so, but that's really, I mean, I'm not an attorney, so for me, I feel like this would cover what we need it to do. I mean, this is my amateur opinion. I feel like the Crawford Smith, because it would be a continual agreement, it's a day, it's multi-day, annual, that feels like something different that would have to be tailored specifically to them. But I could be wrong
with
there.
Crawford Smith, I mean, what he's trying to do is just paper it, what we already do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing, additional fees or anything like that, I don't think. I mean, it's a conversation we'd need to have with them, and basically we're just papering what the handshake agreement's been for years. So, whatever that is, we're not going to change anything with them. We're just going to put it on paper so that if he's not here, I'm not here, then we know what's happening. Because there's several instances that does happen in the city, and, it's handshake agreements, or I had this conversation. And
You've been mowing this piece of property for 30 years.
Exactly. Yeah, so those things happen. So it's just putting it on paper, and I don't foresee any issues with the Crawford Smith people from my perspective. I mean, they're pretty cooperative.
Just there is a section for rental fees, so that's why I asked that. And I know like I would like it to be a hold harmless agreement or something like that. I think that's covered in here as well, because I mean there are parking mowers there. There's kids running around there all the time.
Which all of our city property is already covered anyway. I mean, it's the same as, the parking lot that you're in here. It's all covered under the same insurance. So whether there's, a mower or a car or anything on it, I think it's all covered under the same policy. I don't know that we need to do anything specific.
I will say the intent of this was for special event, like short-term, one-time usage.
Continual usage.
There still needs to be a placeholder.
Say that again?
Handshake.
Say that again?
Needs to be a placeholder that defines the handshake.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And we can do that. And
Sure.
we can talk to Daniel about that. If that's a separate agreement, we'll do it a separate agreement based on this one. I mean, we can do that, so.
And just for clarification, did you say that this document had been reviewed by the city attorney or had not been?
As far as I know, he has reviewed it. That was the last that I heard. And there were no changes sent to us.
Okay. All right, just.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, is there a motion regarding item 8F?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Please vote. And it passes unanimously. I'll read the consent calendar tonight, if you want me to. Okay. Okay, consent calendar, item 9A, city council meetings from the March 24th, 2026 meeting. 9B, a resolution approving the Texas Main Street Locally Designed Program 2026 contract. And item C, a resolution approving Amendment 1 to the consultant services agreement between the City of Greenville and Pneumo Group LLC for local occupancy tax program audit and administrative services. Are there any questions about any of those three items? We didn't do it as good as Carla could have, but. Okay, is there a motion regarding those items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There are no city staff, city council reports. I just want to mention one thing. There are some people in the audience tonight that have asked about a proclamation honoring the passing of Dr. Philip Dukes, and that will be on the agenda at the next meeting for those of you, the two Bettys in the audience who asked me, and some other people have brought that up. So if you'd like to do that, well, we will have a resolution honoring his service to our community at that time. Item 11, City Council discussion of proposed agenda items. Are there any items the council would like to discuss? There being none, there are no board and commission minutes. At this time, we're going back into executive session, and we do anticipate we'll be voting on 2 items when we come out of executive session. So we'll be back in a few minutes. And the time is roughly 6:45. We have two motions regarding easements. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I have two motions. First, I move that the council approve a purchase of easement rights from Nicholas and Carla Martin for 4 easement parcels for the city's dual raw water line project and associated damages, that the purchase price be paid in the amount of $61,835, and that the city manager be empowered to finalize the purchase of that easement and closing of that transaction.
Is there a second? Please vote.
I have a second motion.
Unanimous.
I move that the council approve a purchase of easement rights from Cuthberto Quintana and Habalera Quintana and Marganta Quintana for the easement parcel for the city's dual raw water line project, that this purchase price be paid in the amount of $57,444, and that the city manager be empowered to finalize the purchase of that easement and closing of that transaction.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. That motion passes unanimously. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for being here tonight.